let's start at the Etihad. Not nice to be home for Manchester City, my friend, against a Tottenham team who, if I say, are getting a habit of getting results against Man City under Pochettino. It's something that they did under Ange last season. I think it was a 4-0 win at the Etihad and a 2-0 win to Thomas Frank. Talk to me first about Tottenham, Rob. Let's talk about Tottenham and what Thomas Frank has installed to this team that makes them look and feel a bit different.
Well, flexible Frank, I think, is the headline for Tottenham Hotspur, Robbie Earle. I think we knew a little bit about this, that the way that he coaches, he will coach differently given who his opponents are. At Brentford, I think he always had the big six. He'd always go with 5 at the back. He felt he needed the extra guy back there with strong attacks playing against their Brentford. But now he's at Tottenham. Maybe not quite so much in terms of big system changes, but there was 2 personnel, there was 2 changes in the middle of the park that added some beef, some defensive kind of nous. Palhinha, the new player for Tottenham on loan from Bayern Munich, played in the middle of the park, as did Bentancur. They're more defensive-minded than Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall. And just flexible in the... Sometimes they pressed Man City really high. Sometimes they sat back a little deeper. There was changes on the flanks as well, I believe. Oh, no, was there? No, I think the front three was the same. Brennan Johnson has gone from a right winger under the previous manager to a left winger, scores again in the game. Kudos, of course, the new player from West Ham United. It's just a good story, Rob, and this is what we wanted to see with a different, more conventional coach with this young and exciting squad of players. What's possible? It's really early yet, but you've got to love what Thomas Frank's doing, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting that you go to the point, because we've been fortunate to sit with Thomas Frank a couple of times, and he's talked about those system or personnel changes when he plays a big six. So one of my sort of thoughts this season was, how is he going to be now he's one of the big six? It's not that he's out on the outside, but I think what's a big thing that I like about Thomas Frank, Rob, and you talk about his flexibility, which is important, and he ingrains 2 or 3 different ways of playing. But I think he doesn't put himself or the club that big that, hold on, we can go and just play a bit like Ange. We're going to Man City and we're going to play our way, and this is how we are. And if we get beat, we'll get beat because we're doing it our way. He'll go to Man City and go, we can do it a different way. And one of the things that I liked yesterday, Rob, was, they've missed out on Eze, they've missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White, who's a number 10, who's a creative player who would add something to that front line. But what Thomas Frank does in the other way is go, you know what, we're going to be exceptional on the press. We're going to go man-to-man at times with Man City, as we've seen his Brentford teams do. At times, Rob, if they have to go mid-block, they go there and be comfortable and set triggers and win the ball quickly and break away. And so, for me, he's taken a group of players, and this was always my biggest argument with Ange, was these are international, top-class players. They can understand more than one way of playing. Just tweak it a little bit to give yourself a chance. Thomas Frank, as you say, the flexibility and almost like the transparency with which he coaches, I think is going to help Tottenham become a better team.
Listen, I agree with that, Rob, that statement there, but let me just throw back onto the downside of these changes, right? Or potential perceived downsides. And I just think when there's a new manager and there's new players in the club, which there are at Tottenham right now, and a different manager, of course, different ideas, I just think a lot of changes can sometimes hurt continuity and rhythm, team rhythm. If you just bear with me, like all the and I'm not saying that Spurs, of course, they want to be the best team, but all the sort, I feel like the best teams anywhere, you kind of know exactly what they're going to do. Now, maybe you earn the right to do that if you have got the best team and everybody else adjusts because of you. And maybe if Tottenham Hotspur do get to a point where they're the best team, there'll be less tweaking about the opponents. So I'm with you, right? And I admire that about Thomas Frank, the ability to change. It's just, part of me thinks, are they going to get familiar quickly? Is it going to be a bit disjointed because a lot of change, even though the change might be working? So it's just something to think about. And I just wonder going forward, there's a lot of talk about this now with how he adjusts his team. I just wonder how much we're going to see of that. And maybe like Brentford, Robin, think about Brentford. You know, I think there was probably two ways of playing. I think he pretty much always played with the three guys in midfield. I can see him right now.
Damsgaard, Norgard.
Norgard and Janelt. And then sometimes 5 at the back, sometimes 4. There's an extra attacker if it's 4 at the back. So I that's maybe what we'll see, Rob. Not tons of different, well, you're going to play over here this week and you're going to do that, but just 2, maybe 3 setups that, to kind of answer my own question, maybe they do get familiar with those 2 different ways. And that might be the way forward for them.
Absolutely. And it's just kind of, do you know what I always think with Thomas Frank, Rob? It's kind of a way of playing, a way of coaching, a communication that you kind of go, I get that. I see that. You know, some coaches, they say, and it's like, I'm not sure about that. Or, you know, Ruben Amram we can talk about, and Andrew is an example of that. And you're kind of not sure what, you know, okay. You kind of get what Thomas Frank is doing, and that's what I think it is the continuity piece. Couldn't love a bit more, Rob, about, like, it's almost like there's an attention to more defensive detail, more responsibility out the ball. I think they did a brilliant job at times of setting City up, didn't allow City's rhythm. I'm going to go straight to my underappreciated performer of the week. I'm going to bang it out there in the first show, mate. João Palhinha. João Palhinha, signed on loan from Bayern Munich, was, I thought, outstanding. It's a great signing,
for
Rob.
What they need, Rob. For absolutely what they needed.
To problem solve for the Spurs team that at times goes a bit basketball front to back. Experience, physicality, athleticism, football IQ. All you need in that holding role, Rob. And because of that, he gives a little bit more freedom to people ahead of the pitch. He's got a good understanding. I thought he fills in holes. He's good communicated. The goals are bonus, but starting when they press and win the ball after a mistake by Trafford. I just think that's a pretty good bit of business from somebody who was seen as surplus to Vincent Kompany and Bayern Munich. I think it's a brilliant pickup for Thomas Frank. He's got him in the door early, and he's going to be, whoever he's partnered with, and whether it's a 2 in there, a 3, or whether the shape change, Palhinha is going to be a really important piece for this Tottenham team if they're going to, you know, be more successful and not be as open to the counter attack.
Couldn't agree more, because they got good defenders, Rob. We know they got good defenders. Cristian Romero is a world champion. Mickey van der Ven, we know all about his pace, etc., etc. And we also know that James Maddison, bad injury right now. Dejan Kulusevski, you know, they're looking for another kind of attacking midfield player. You know, all of a sudden the squad's kind of rounding out quite nicely. I know Dominic Solanke is fit again, was involved in the game at the weekend.
Kudus has settled well, hasn't he? Kudus has come in and
settled really well.
Looked the part.
And on his favoured position on the right side.
Somebody said to me, Rob, actually, it was something I hadn't really picked up. I heard yesterday. He said, you don't think with Thomas Frank, you know, you go back to the Ben Ramas, the Ollie Watkins, the Ivan Tonys, the Brian Mbermos, the Johan Wissers. All were kind of players who weren't at their height, and he's worked under them, developed them. They've all gone on to have really good careers. And you know, we've seen a good Richarlison. I know it's 2 games in. We've seen Kudus come in, who everybody at West Ham knows Kudus has got ability. We weren't seeing it on a regular basis. And again, I know it's a bit early in 2 games in, but he just looks like his man management and his ability to get the best of players is something as well that's going to be important.
Absolutely right, mate. And it's early days yet, and Thomas Frank, wow, what a great start he's got at Tottenham Hotspur. Super excited to see how this develops. Now, in terms of like overreacting, my friend, this takes us over to Manchester City. And I think I'm probably guilty, and I'm happy to hold my hands up, particularly with some of the players that Manchester City signed. We saw them close hand. Maybe that's what kind of made us, me eulogise so much against Wolves. And of course, I think I probably did caveat, we've got to remember it's only Wolverhampton Wanderers, but Man City looked irresistible in that game at Molineux last weekend. But my goodness, if they were surprisingly great against Wolves, they were surprisingly awful against Tottenham. And, you know, Ryan Shirky, that I was pleased to see, was playing in the midfield. Tijani Reinders, that we enjoyed so much in that first weekend
were
were they were nowhere. They were nowhere in the game, and I just thought, wow.
You could add in Marmouche, you could add in Oscar Bob, you could add in Nico Gonzalez, Rob. There's a number, there's 5 players there who, and again, I think, what was it last week? The City, they're going to win the league. Well, this week they're going to get relegated. They're going to get relegated. They're going to get relegated now. They're going to get relegated, and we'll see next week. I don't know. They'll be in Europa. Yeah. I think what we are going to see with City is some of these offish days. Some of these days where, this is about new players coming into this team and understanding A, about the league, and then B, how City play. Now, the other thing that's come to light, Rob, and I was doing a little bit of research, and we don't like to go too down the technical and data side, but I was reading a little bit of thing where Pep Linders has come in as his number 2. And apparently, Rob, he's been working a lot with, or supposedly there's been work with the back line. And there's this thing about them jumping. I don't know so they hold a line, and we saw it at Wolves a couple of times.
I don't know.
Well, you have a look at the first goal, what John Stones does with Richarlison.
I know, he tries to catch him offside.
He tries to jump him inside. Now, that's not a City thing. City hold a high line.
They do. They've always had a high line. I really always had a high line. They've always had a high line.
Yeah, I'm saying they hold a high line. What I'm saying is this thing, as the pass is being played, it's almost like a gamble. I'm going to get in front of you. That isn't City of the past.
So like an offside trap, more like.
It's like an offside trap. Now, we saw Wolves not do it particularly well, but breaking down that right-hand side a couple of times and say, they've got to be careful. The first goal comes through John Stones trying to jump in front, and he falls over.
Yeah.
And Richarlison gets played. Now, either something's changed in the way they're trying to defend, or, and I'll go to another point, maybe the Stones-Diaz partnership that's been brilliant for them over time is not quite at the level that it was. Now, both have had injuries, both have been sterling players, both are champions, and I hold my hands up to them of what they've done in the past. Been brilliant for Man City. Well, he's just signed a long 4-year contract, Diaz. John Stones, we don't know if he can put a run of 10 or 15 games together now with his body. Is that back line as strong, and are decisions being made that might underpin where they end up this season?
Well, it's certainly to be watched. We'll obviously watch this very closely in the next game. We fully focus on Manchester City. First, I saw this big, lots of comment about the high line of Manchester City. But I feel like they've always had a high line. Now, I get your point. I understand that there's a high line, and then there's a high line where you stand still and you try and play them offside.
Yeah.
Instead of high line, ball's going, I'll drop off and track the run, which I think we would prefer. But back to your comment, if you're an older defender, it's kind of easier to sort of look across the line and catch them offside because you haven't got to run back. But for them to high press and to be at their best, they have to be high. You can't press high and have your defenders all the way back.
No, I'm not talking about the high. I'm talking about the thing of trying to get ahead of the forward. So from the high line position. Have a look at Wolves last week and have a look at the goal. John Stones, as the ball's being played into Richarlison, John Stones tries to jump ahead of Richarlison and play offside.
Yeah.
Not even stay or not drop. He's trying to go in front of him, which I think is really dangerous.
If it's a policy, Rob, should all the defenders doing that? Is it just individuals that do it? Because that's dangerous.
Well, I'm going to
say,
I assume it happens when full-backs are advanced of centre-back. So it's a centre-back's call then, isn't it? Can I do it? Yeah. If I do it well, I'm catching him offside. If I don't do it well, I'm going to have to go with a runner. Just, again, something interesting to look for.
Yeah.
But again, that it's one part of a number of areas where City...
Where else are they struggling? Where, if they, God, it's a long way to go yet, and things can change, but are the new players, is Pep and the team underestimating the physicality of this league, and people like Reinders and Shirky, could they struggle?
The players we talked about, Rob, those very outstanding footballers, when they have possession, when they dominate games, which they will do against the Wolves and maybe some of the teams that have come up, but there's going to be other opposition, and Spurs showed that they are at that claim. If they play Bournemouth,
Yeah.
Possibly if they played a Fulham, if they played an Everton, who know what they're doing in physicality, it's going to be a different game. And those players attuned to what parts of the Premier League central areas of the game are about. Winning tackles, winning second balls, doing that stuff. Then your football comes in, Rob. I just think that might take a time. That might, Tijani Ryan has said to us at the desk, he's not looking forward to the duels.
I know.
That was out of his own mouth.
Yeah, and that I mean, it's just going to be more difficult to be effective in almost every game if you're not going to do that. I mean, if City have it their way, they have the ball. Pep, he wasn't happy with the second half of the first game because they never had the ball so much. They sat back a little bit. He doesn't want that. He wants them to control possession. So we'll see. Again, it's so easy to instantly react to things, isn't it?
Yeah, and, we're 2 weeks
maybe
in.
we just, let's just see how they...
2 points. Rodri's back, isn't he? I think Rodri's back now. So, I mean,
must make
obviously,
a difference.
It will make a difference. Can I just go to you, Bob? Incident that one of our viewers on Twitter reached out and just said, could you boys just describe the James Trafford challenge on Kudus, where he came out with his knee that looked like it possibly connected with the player and that looked like he handled the ball outside of the box?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the incident when he gets played over the top?
Yeah. Well, I think Tim did the highlight. Yeah, go on then. What do you say?
Well, I thought James Trafford's very lucky. I know he ended up not having a particularly great game with the mistake for the second goal that, looked a little bit edgy, but I thought that he was lucky to stay on the pitch.
Yeah, there's handball outside the box.
Yeah,
and
handball.
If that handball doesn't happen, it's a denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, probably.
Absolutely.
And the dangerous element to the play as well. I mean, it's a good point. It's a good point, and I haven't. Sometimes and I feel it's a bit of a. There's plenty of incidents this weekend, Rob. It's like that I just think it was a bit of a funny one, an awkward one.
Could have gone either way. It seemed like the discretion of the referee without it being one side or the other.
Just on goalkeepers, Reb, just before we move on, James Trafford, and I get he's gone back to the football club, and the Man City have spent money on him. They sold him. They bought him back again from Burnley. He's young. He's 22 years of age. Am I being too harsh, Rob, if I say he's just not ready to be in this calibre of team right now?
Yeah, you think you might be being a bit harsh. I think, again, I don't want to give away too many tickets without a name dropping, Rob. We were fortunate to spend half an hour with Roy Keane, weren't we, in the UK last weekend? Yeah. Remember he was talking about goalkeepers generally and talked about Trafford and, goalkeepers at United and the mentality. And he sort of said, you find out about goalkeepers when they make a mistake. What happens next? What kind of personality are they? Can they come back from it? Or does it go inside them and go the other way? And we'll talk about Manchester United's current situation with goalkeepers. Yeah. I kind of feel like if Trafford's been given the number one, and it seems that he has, we've got to see now, can he handle what that is about, and can he come back again? Oh, I mean, there is rumours, Rob, and I think I said to you before we came on the podcast, they talk about Donnarumma being lined up on the basis that Ederson goes out to, I think it's Galatasaray, and they can get him out, and Donnarumma would come in, then obviously he would be the number one, James Trafford would be the number two. So, again, we'll keep our eye on that, but... I don't think. I think right now, if you pull James Trafford out, I think it will hit his confidence.
All right, mate. We'll move on. But just last kind of kudos to Tottenham Hotspur. That's exciting. That's great to go there and win 2-0. I mean, that's some result.
Excellent
result of the weekend. Yeah.
Good start to the season.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.